Here's John. John is a supervillain I created by accident, whose superpower is overcharging people's phones. And this is a picture of them drawn by a stranger on the internet. Here's an animation of John. Now, how did this happen exactly? Well, the potted version is, I went on chat site Omegle not long ago and asked the peculiar users on there what superpower they could have, if any. From that I scrabbled together a crew of 6 superheroes and was delighted to find a load of artwork of those guys coming in. So now I've made 6 supervillains for them to battle because, let's be honest, villains are more fun than heroes anyway, which was certainly reflected in the number of submissions I've received this time, over double that of the heroes, including some arty animations such as this from TH30N3 and some theme tunes such as this, playing right now by Zack. So it is my honour and privilege to showcase all the glorious stuff that you've created. I'd have been giddy even if I'd received only 1 or 2 drawings, so you can imagine the shit-eating grin on my stupid fat face right now. In fact, you don't even have to imagine it. There it is. So, thank you to everyone. We've got quite a lot to go through, so strap in. I'll guide you through this as best I can. We'll start with the villains one by one, and we'll do all the group pieces nearer the end. Now, following the Omegle Superhero video, I received a lot of stick, too much, some would say, for accidentally including Beast Boy and Rock Lee onto the roster. I didn't realise that they're existing characters. I'm still reminded of that every day. Well, at least I haven't done that this time. Let's start with Vibe. Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, Vibe, if you'll recall, was an invisible thief with an invisible sword, and I'll confess I was very curious as to how you guys would be able to draw them. So you can imagine how pleasantly surprised I was to receive an email titled Vibe Fanart from a Daniil within like minutes of uploading the villains vid. They described it as a very detailed fanart of Vibe. I guess I should have seen this coming, or not as the case may be. And a couple more of you thought to do this too, namely Adria, I Am John, Feta Up, Ariel, Fruit Epic, Dude Ponga, By TJ and Earl, Frosted Donut 5, Fuck You TV Game, my actual friend in real life Martin, and No One Nobody did a cosplay. So well done, all of you. We then have some vibes which are fractionally and thankfully a bit more visible. Nikki Cherry was kind enough to draw their vibe both invisibly and visibly. B. Shalito drew all 6 as part of what they called my League of Cunts. We can just about see their vibe, who looks quite threatening. In fact, a lot of yours did, which I guess makes sense. About the only thing scary than being stabbed is being stabbed by something and someone you can't see stabbing you. Vibe is, at the end of the day, a thief, and I got some nice pictures of them mid-heist, such as this from Pastel Mo Bones, a pair who drew all 6 during a live Twitch stream, which I love to see, and these sorts of pics really made me grasp fully that it is stressful and frightening enough being mugged by someone that you can see, let alone just walking to work and then suddenly seeing your valuables floating away unaided down the street. I mean, what do you shout in that situation? Very villainous behaviour indeed. And although you'd be able to see the lifted items floating away, it'd give away Vibe's location, would you run after them? I think I'd be too psychologically shattered to even chase. When not heisting, Holly drew Vibe out on a date, along with the brutally accurate description, he seems kind of self-conscious, not gonna lie. Lovely to see some familiar faces among the artists. Lyra has drawn pretty much everything from all my Omegle videos. Here's their drawing of the hero creation, you might remember. So the villains were no exception. Blurbs treated us to a hybrid animal in the past and now provided a very chill vibe. Caught whilst using their secondary power of being able to touch any item and see what the previous owner was doing at that moment. In this instance, they're touching a can of beans with their foot and seeing Brainfucker at a disco. So, it's a useful power, that's obvious. And this very dramatic vibe from Ibuckaplier, who among other things has drawn us an exquisitely detailed snow tree in the past. Magnusson went ahead and painted all the villains, the first paintings I've received, here's their vibe. And they then proved it was them who painted by sweetly but unnecessarily taking a photo of the painting but holding a pot of pepper in front of it, just to prove it was theirs. Whilst Plague Master did the whole lot in Lego. The madman spent 30 minutes looking for that sword alone, apparently. And whilst we're on original depictions, this from The Fantasy Life 8 is very intriguing. Much like this from A Deep sea shark. I'll post-it note face here as part of a larger picture of all 6, and I'll take this moment again to stress, if you've drawn a vibe as part of a larger ensemble and it's not been featured yet, do not panic. We are doing these one by one for the moment, we'll do all the group pickies nearer the end. But yeah, those are your vibes. You've proven, I think, actually quite an effective villain. Let's take a look at your Death Kings. Now, DK's game, if you'll recall, is that they could predict everything that you were about to do, and then use that knowledge to kill you. All, of course, while stomping around in comically long shoes. Quite a wide spectrum as to how they were drawn. Some of you made them more human, such as Liquid Wrens with their douchey hair, and particularly Lyra, who accidentally got the name wrong, and cheekily managed to dethrone Death King. Enion's had this quite lugubrious air, in contrast to the naughty Death King from Yeet Hitter, who drew theirs with 2 outfit options, the latter of which had one of the best file names I've ever received. IB Vibins I particularly enjoyed, looking like a Victorian era serial killer like Albert Fish or someone like that. Zardly Dead had the nice idea that Death King was this wealthy and gregarious student who transformed into the long-shoed menace when popping a Plague Doctor style mask on. That's a funny little sentence. And then this is technically a drawing, so I'm going to include it. Cat and Millie doodled a little Death King simply as part of the notes they put together for a full-on Omegle fanfiction. I've read this and it is fantastic. The link is going to be in the description. It's the new fucking Harry Potter, let me tell you. A lot of you went for crowns. This is, after all, not Death Prince, not the Archduke of Death, but Death motherfucking King. And not just that, most of you made great pains to enunciate the really big shoes, which I appreciate. I'm a gangly-legged, long-foot man myself, so this was really good to see. Not just that, but skull masks! And I must say, they do complement a crown nicely. This might end up being my Halloween costume this year. I mean, look how cool that looks. Certainly got to be better than some of the outfits I've chosen in the past. I Got Bored gave us theirs in both pencil sketch and pixel art. I'm a real sucker for pixel art, it makes me go a bit gooey. Whilst Murphalicious made theirs in Hero Forge. I don't know what Hero Forge is, but I like it. Others of you went one step further than skull masks and depicted the villain with an actual skull as their head. Some quite happy cartoon style, there they are dreaming about a burger apparently, and some absolutely delightfully grotesquely horrifying. And then of course there was one step further, and some of yours transcended anything possible outside of hell for these really lovely nightmarish figures. There's a meme I've seen about how devastatingly surreal Bible literal angels look, and this from a meter recorder looks like one of those, only of course with really long shoes. A feature which Silver Soda 2 satisfyingly linked to another Omegle property of mine, the Would You Rathers. Lovely to see those two coming together. When the least nightmarish bit of a character is their meter-long shoes, you know you've got a good villain. Dusk Devil, if you'll recall, was born out of one of the worst conversations I've ever had with a human. This Omegle started the conversation wanting to be called Dusk Devil and control the weather, but by the end had confused themselves so much that they were Dusk Devil that used poison gases, nerve agents and things like that. I did warn them that their character was likely to be drawn, and it certainly was. I think our weather changer come gas expeller was one of the most popular ones to sketch. I only got one actual standalone Dust Devil, and a pic from Sethtonia where we see Dust and Dusk Devil together in a kind of Hannah Montana Miley Cyrus relationship. I'm an old man now, so I don't know if that analogy is still relevant, but I'm going to go with it. The rest of you stuck to the Dusk Devil that meddles with gases, and of course that means masks. Masks, masks, masks. Some quite cool masks actually. I think COVID rates would be down if it was these sort of masks that you were expected to wear. DJ Sanap here apologises for forgetting the ears, but I think this just makes their Dusk Devil look scarier, like an eel. Author Ellie explains this is Dusk Devil battling Beast Boy, who's taken on the form of a cat, and don't mock and or judge, because even little cats can be vicious. Ah! And whilst we're on Dusk Devil battling the heroes, here is an incorporeal Dusk Devil, fighting out against creation, who's going full on cloudy with a chance of meatballs on their ass. So yeah, a real variety of ways Dusk Devil was depicted. Some of you made them this trim, cute, approachable figure, I guess taking the reference to devil in their name as more of a cheeky bad boy. This Dusk Devil from Gravekeeper Simp looks downright funky. with his open shirt and glowing knees. Others of you saw Dusk Devil as more of a chiselled mountain of a man, lugging around industrial-sized canisters of ether. And then there were the depictions of them as kind of foul beasts, skulking around in a haze of sleep gas, or maybe even floating atop it, and handily holding up signs as to what they're all about. It was nice to get some depictions of Dusk Devil which weren't just of them as overtly masculine. I mean, Dusk Devil's a mysterious little pleb, and this was captured quite beautifully. That said, I don't know where that gas is coming from. Blurbs drew us a nicely annotated Dusk Devil, holding a mug with some Z's on it, which I particularly enjoyed. Zay next, a name picked simply as that was their initials, like if I started calling myself Mr. Think Batman, but a nasty bastard Batman. In the same way there are endless knockoff Dr. Peppers, like Dr. Wright and Dr. Perky, your drawings of Zay resembled off-brand Batman versions, which was excellent and because of that seemed extra cursed. While some of you drew Zay as some twisted bat creature, most of you gave me something that would instantly be recognised as Batman, which, as Graph illustrates here, is precisely the point. Zay is to look like the very caped crusader that rescues us from clowns and Mr. Freezes, whilst actually being an unhinged tool of destruction. The only thing really setting him apart, as you nicely portrayed, is Zay's face. A face that is clearly not Batman's. A face that does not befit a Batman. A deep sea shark's, for instance, resembles my cat, whereas Bicholito's... Wait, who's that? Is that... No, I don't. Unbelievable. Anyway, now, John. And I was very interested to see how you would go about depicting a villain whose only power was overcharging people's phones. For John, we'll start off with those that depicted him more pedestrian and steadily get crazier. Nothing at all wrong with a casual depiction, by the way. This, for instance, from Bad Gateway depicts a fairly regular looking guy, but is one of my favourites. I should also commend this artist, as some weeks ago I went on holiday to drink and smoke in a hot tub, asked this person for a drawing I could stick on the community tab to represent this, and they did exactly that. Nothing at all wrong with John looking fairly normal. I mean, that's what I like about this villain, the fact their power is eerily menacing by its very banality. Obsessed Dan described John as the weird uncle you see at barbecues who hates technology, and hey, I think that kind of looks like me. I did order a proper flamingo shirt for this little skit. It took a month in postage, and then the other day I just got an email saying, yeah, you're not going to get that, so... Certainly looks more like me than, anyway, let's not dwell on that. When all you're doing is slyly knackering people's iPhones, all capes and masks will do is make you stand out. Starting to get a bit madder now with our Johns conjuring sparks from their hands. Here, Fungal describes John as hiding in the backgrounds of shoddy infomercials, a bit like a weird version of the girl from The Ring. Ain has him blowing up someone's head, but still in retail shop attire, which is nice. And this John from Bus Station was so odd it made me laugh, John arguing with Dusk Devil and Vibe about meeting the president. Whilst their power is on the surface very trivial, it does have the capacity, I guess, for them to be quite a badass wrongdoer. This is particularly helped if, like Lyra, you decided to give them fucking wings as well. Here we see John in action overcharging the phones of a phone store to cause a massive explosion. And this artist kindly provided some brief animations to show John in action too. Finally, Uirafine drew this John and said offhand he dislikes digital devices and probably messages his fellow villains via carrier pigeon. I said offhand their drawing could only been improved by them firing great swarms of pigeons from out their sleeves, and bless them, 3 days later I received this. Fantastic, great Johns all round, and now we've only got one last villain to go. The D stands for David, and a refreshingly unequivocal one this time. Big D is strong. Big D is basically the Hulk. Or Thanos. Big D punches first and doesn't ask questions because why would they need to? You are already unconscious. But amazingly, even Big D had a little bit of variety in how you drew them. Yeet Hitter gave them a mad mullet. Maria's looked like a comically grotesque mob boss. TH30N3 gave us Big Diva. Lyra's an actual nightmarish masked figure, whilst P-Poop Man's surprisingly adorable. Sleepy Bones was 50 foot tall, and Deep Sea Sharks, if we look at their original sketch, is a duo combining Big D and Little D. Greatly impressed by all of these, and even more so the fact that I didn't receive a single knob drawing. Well done, you guys. But of course there were more than just these 6 conversations. Some of our Omeglas created villains that didn't make a place on the team, but pleasingly did find a place in your hearts. At the Fantasy Life 8, for instance, drew the villain that wanted to make everyone their girlfriend, stressing that she makes sure to give her girlfriends pants with pockets. And who could forget German midfielder Mario Götze, who, although they didn't become a supervillain as, well, their German midfielder Mario Götze, some of you still took the trouble to depict. Now might be a good time to pour yourself a little boozy drink if you're of age, because we're moving on to the group pics. We've already seen this from Deep Sea Shark, but honestly loads of you took the time to draw all 6, and I really am grateful. Bad Gateway, the poor sod I demanded draw me in a hot tub, provided this lovely piece of the whole crew. Please note framed Mario in the background there. Lyra drew all theirs chilling out in a flat chair, Dusk Devil making themselves very comfortable. And if we zoom in on the magazine on the coffee table, that's Lyra's bloody creation, front page news. If you enjoyed this old picture of the heroes from Hard to Remember, you will almost certainly enjoy their villains. The artist here explicitly pointing out that Big D is Rock Lee's brother, which is why they look so similar. And of course, no Omegle exhibition is complete without the quintessentially minimalist work of Apple Animations. Much like all your solo pieces, I was blown away by the sheer variety not only in how you each imagined these bad guys, but the art styles used to portray them. I never predicted, for instance, that I would ever see Big D and Dusk Devil drawn on a whiteboard, and I was childishly excited to receive not one, but 2 comics about the Omeglas. We had some sketches which were sort of like comics, such as these from @DHMIs4, showing the villains and sometimes the heroes playing cards, dealing with the repercussions of overcharging Death King's phone, etc. It was endlessly amusing to me to see who you paired up for these. Would Death King and Vibe get on? What would an invisible diamond thief and a German football player discuss in casual conversation? Questions that really you should only be asking if you were totally mad. This from Cat Cactus of the crew meeting the president was the first thing I saw one hungover morning, and I felt if I stared at it much longer I'd go completely insane. TH30N3 drew Vibe chilling with various members of the crew, and also animated them stealing Death King's crown. Bad idea, Vibe. As I've said before, pixel art really gets me going, so these were all well received. The Godly Piggy even uploaded a time-lapse of them drawing this, which is well worth a watch. Again, I'll pop the link to that in the description along with everything else. And this came in from someone who wishes to remain anonymous, a piece of art that sees Death King being kicked at by Mario for taking his place. Also, I'm in it. Anyway, I might give you a break from my incessant Moss from IT crowd meets Wheatley from Portal voice and let you enjoy these pieces for a short while. And we're back! just in time to shine a quick spotlight on Rain Duke, who not only drew some lovely villains featuring one of the biggest Ds we received, as well as all the heroes, but also sketched each villain in combat with a respective hero. Vibe being, cream pied by creation, Death King smugly predicting where Snowtree will next teleport, Ari and Dusk Devil getting caught up in each other's logic, Rock Lee about to simply pulverise John, Big D getting a headache, and absolutely lovely Beast Boy versus Zay. And finally, Byzantine Boy went above and beyond by drawing all 6 accompanied by incredible lore and ranking of power, Death King being the most powerful of the lot, but also drawing all those that didn't make it, including even the Omegle who just went "Ah!" According to their lore, the Omegle whose villain was simply "my power to fuck hard to you" is a being of unfathomably immense strength. Truly incredible work from you all. Well, that is kind of where the tour ends. Now, if I've got anything wrong, my admin skills do have their limits. So if I've missed you or misattributed your name, shout at me and I'll fix it. What are you doing? You off? Even Bamboo has left. Even he's had enough. That's as much pixel art as he can take. I do have a little bit of extra shit left if you want to see. So yes, we've seen all the villains now, but it's still not over. The ride never stops. As since my last art exhibition video a couple months ago, I've received all nature of bits and bobs, which it'd be my pleasure to show you. I did a video on the unusual things people had in their notes section on their phones and got a couple sketches out of that. Fuck You TV Game drew an earnestly disturbing manifestation of the note Babyface, a man's with 5 babies as his face. And Sophie brought to life the note I'm so stressed out I've been eating mints all day. I've also had some more of my Omegle hybrid animals trickle in, such as our cow dog Bruno wagging away here from Piscolo11. Cats in Boxes also put together an adorable Bruno alongside a Cag going "Muck!" and our bulldog being destructive as ever. Cag also depicted here by Banana Brains, and the bulldog also portrayed here by Joseph, albeit somewhat more surreally. In the hybrid animal artwork video, I showed off some extra Omegle conversations, which got us a lion, deer and giraffe elephant cross, which some of you kindly drew as well. Maverick really went the whole hybrid hog on these animals. We see here their Bruno, bulldog, wolf bear, chimp sloth, aka Buddy, and take a deep breath because you're about to see their lion man. Incredible, right? And @Flightless Burb took it upon themselves to design their own creation, a shark dog named Sherbet. I like sharks, and I like dogs, and I like Sherbet, but I don't know if I'd like to be responsible for owning a shark dog named Sherbet. In addition, to my delight, some of you invented your own super characters. Here's Chloe's psychedelic baddie Dementia, for instance. Whilst Pearwiggler put together bee-themed Sting, who naturally would badger creation to conjure up some honeycomb all the time. And whilst we're on creation, let's finally take a look at the late superhero artwork I've received since last time. Creation, Ari, Beast Boy, Snowtree, also available in pixel art, pencil sketch and Minecraft depiction, Rock Lee, cute, and Brainfucker, complete with phallic strands of grey matter drooping over his eyes. And then just when I thought it couldn't possibly get any better, a couple of you drew our heroes together with the Omegle hybrid animals. Almost like sort of sidekicks, a crossover special. Now, that really is it for today. Thank you so much again to you all. But even now, as I croak these final words into a microphone, even since officially calling deadline a few days ago, I've already received some new superb vibes. Death Kings, Dusk Devils, Zays, Johns, and Big Ds. So, realistically, another exhibition video is going to come at some point. To that end, feel free to carry on sending me whatever the hell you like. Forever. You will never stop the Omegle superhero franchise train. Thank you very much and look forward to hearing from you soon.